locomotives and carriages out of the place they've called home for years. On Monday, the line they need may be closed for all rail movements, and the Lachlan Valley Rail Society's museum at Cowra will be isolated from the world. The line is one of several being shut down by the state government, supposedly because they're not safe. The closures spell disaster, not only for the museum, they guarantee an awful lot of grain movements from the affected areas will be carried by road. Jeff Sims reports from Cowra.
It looks like full steam ahead, all systems go. But let's mix in another metaphor. There's light at the end of the tunnel. Or maybe the light is about to go out. The train is being shunted into oblivion.
They simply want to close the line. That was announced in the mini-budget in November of last year. 5 branch lines, of which this around here is 3 of them, just to close the line.
There's nothing wrong with this line at all. The government came out and said the line is unsafe. Well, that proved to be false. They ran a passenger train out here to Young last Sunday. So it's perfectly safe.
The line in question runs from Cowra, not that it sees a lot of action. From Blaney south to Cowra it was closed 2 years ago, and now it's to be closed further south.
102 kilometres from Cowra south to Demondrille, which is near Harden.
And that line, as of Monday, will be of no use to anyone, is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
The government prefers to say access to the line is being suspended, though it's more like handing out a death certificate. It's not a thought Bill Rosewarne likes to dwell on. Old drivers can get a bit steamed up.
I feel very let down that the government can do this to us. But then again, I say I've been on the railway since early April 1955, so I suppose you could imagine that I'd feel that way.
Do you think there's any justification in closing the line for safety reasons?
No, I do not. No, I feel that just watch this crossing. When you work out how much money and see how many sleepers been put in, see how many new bridges have put in by ARTC, I definitely can't see what the justification is.
The Lachlan Valley Rail Society has a lease on the old Cowra Railway Depot, its workshop and sheds. Everything's a work in progress, or at least on the books for restoration, all in good time it seems, and there's plenty of the past just waiting to get another chance. As they say, it may not happen overnight, but it will happen. Some of it is already in working order. It just needs a little patience, which volunteers are made of. And persistence pays off. It's a working yard with working equipment all too rarely surviving these days. Even a working turntable, a toy that would polish a rail buff's boiler. And it's muscle-powered.
So how much weight do you end up pushing around?
Oh, there's about 70 tonne in this, 72 tonne.
Does that make you feel like Superman?
You bet.
The irony is that all this stuff was made to move, was meant to move, has been restored to move. And yet anything that doesn't get out of here at the weekend, if the closure happens on Monday, won't be going anywhere.
The volunteer group has made a last-ditch application for a licence to control and operate the rail line, but it's no simple process.
Very sad, particularly as we've offered to take on the payments for maintaining the inspections on the line in the short term to at least maintain continuity of access so that we don't have to move out of here. And then we'll look at whether or not we can sustain that into the future. We don't know if we can or not, but we are willing to try, whereas the state government obviously isn't.
And it's not just the historical railway that could use the line. If grain growers around here do manage to produce a decent crop, it'll have to go by road to port.
It certainly is big enough and good enough to cut grain. That's in the hands of Grain Corp, and they're rather more interested in moving by trucks.
But that aside, the Lachlan Valley Rail Society is faced with locking up its going transport fleet in the Cowra yard, or moving what it can, including its vintage rail motors, out of shelter to sidings further down the track.
These are about 85 years old and they're owned by our society, and they almost form the backbone of our operations.
And do you feel confident enough about putting them out on this unsafe track?
I certainly do. We will have no problem at all. We will not come off them.
And we didn't. The rail motor purred along. It clickety-clacked in real rail rhythm. 3 rail motors, several carriages and 2 locomotives are being moved out this weekend, away from the safety of the Cowra depot, away from security and maintenance, in case the application fails.
If this is not the last run out of Cowra, it's almost certainly a rehearsal for the final run this weekend. And then a connection with Australia's rail heritage will be broken.
As for plans to breathe new life into other rolling stock in the Cowra depot, thinks...
So how do you move them if you restore them? Can you remove them by road to link up with the train somewhere else?
Yes, by road to link up with the train.
That seems a little ridiculous.
It is, and it's also an expensive exercise.
Will it really come to that? Today the rail authorities and the Volunteer Society and their lawyers were talking.
This week, the odd